Yeah. Elaine, Lil Bit Shepherd right there, a track called Lady in the Streets. And we've got her on the phone right now. How are you doing?
What's good, Robbie G?
Chilling.
Massive, everybody listening in. What's up, everybody?
Radio world.
I'm saying, what would we do without it?
Yes. Get these music to the eardrums of these people right now, and I like the interview aspect where we can get the behind the music.
Right.
Yes. Boom. So you're now traveled. You've come all the way from the west coast of Canada, and you are here in Ontario.
I am here. I'm back in Ontario for a minute. So it's good to be back here. You know, so far everything's been good. I actually just came off of a gig tonight, and loving this impromptu interview with you, of course. It's always great vibes, and I actually have another show coming up on Saturday, too, for people that are in the Toronto scene at Cali 62.
Nice.
It's going to be with a live reggae band. It's going to be featuring myself, Progress, Humble, Molly Bliss, and Tristan Chanel. So it's going to be good vibes if y'all are around. Come through. It's $10 cover, but ladies, it's free before 11. So it's going to be some good vibes, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully I'll see you there, too, if you're around, Robbie.
Saturday, what's popping on Saturday? Actually, I might actually go down to Toronto. We'll see.
Well, that
might be the plan. We have to figure out. That is the night to go out. Finally, eventually, after like 3 weeks of every single night being slammed with stuff, I'm able to go out on Saturday night. So I might actually come stroll through and check you out. I remember seeing you perform out in Calgary. That was really nice. Or sorry, not Calgary, Vancouver, wasn't it? Just
That's right.
Randomly, we got lucky.
Yeah, man, it was good vibes. It's always nice to run into each other in the scene and wherever we are. So it's nice to make that connect for sure.
Definitely, yes. And your live show is killer, especially when you got a whole band behind you and everything. And pal, those songs really just hit home, like give you goosebumps, get you tingling, get your body moving. I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, you know what? I love doing the gigs here and there. I got some DJs that I roll with sometimes. So I hit it that style too. But doing reggae, soul, rock, and having that vibration, it's just nothing quite like when you have a live band behind you. And this band that I'm working with on Saturday, they're called Rebel Alliance, and they're wicked. It's featuring some veterans in the scene, and it's just gonna be great vibes. And all the other artists performing is gonna be wicked. So, like I said, if you're looking for something to do on Saturday night, but you don't feel like doing the regular clubbing thing, Cali 62 is definitely the place to be. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, I like it. And you just came off performing tonight too, right? Yeah. You're just literally doing your last song there while we were playing some of your songs here on the air.
Yeah, it was an interesting gig actually. I'm up in Woodbridge right now in Vaughan. There's a little a sushi restaurant that I'm normally at. It's called Masa Sushi, and me and Carrie, my manager, of course, we come here regularly. And a couple months ago, I was just sitting at one of the booths. We were eating. I was like, I have an idea for a song. So I just kind of started spitting it. And the owner was like, hey, we do events here sometime. You should come down and, sing. And long story short, they booked me for their second anniversary of their opening, which is today. So we did a ribbon cutting. The entire city council of Vaughan came out. So we had the mayor here and everything, and it was just good vibes. It's kind of it was an interesting gig for sure, but my DJ Redix, is here with me, so it was good vibes,
That's cool. That's awesome having the mayor out for an event.
Out after, obviously. Yeah.
That's cool too. I'm sure anytime you're in the restaurant there now and you're in that sushi spot, they'll be like, oh yeah, Elaine, come here. This on the house here.
They're cool people. It's just we've always had a good relationship with the owners just as regular customers, but to now be doing some work musically alongside of them it's really nice. And actually the great thing about tonight was that all the proceeds that we raised through some of the fundraiser and donations is all going to the EPA Vaughan Women's Shelter. So every year this restaurant, when they do their, opening ceremony, anniversary, whatever, they pick a charity and they donate. So next year they're going to do it again for sure. And they're going to be donating to a children's hospital next year. So I love stuff like that, when you can use your music and your, as your voice and your, your muse to give back, you know what I'm saying?
So important, so key.
Yeah, I feel so honored to be, to have been asked to do this tonight.
Definitely, that's dope. I like that. It's important to be able to give back with music, and there's how many charities out there in the world. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of good causes that we, as fortunate people over here, where we're just like, we complain a lot about small little minute details when really we're well off, far more well off than a lot of the other people in the world, and we got to recognize that and be able to help out those that are in need for sure.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's, it's really, I think, our duty as musicians. We get to do what we do and spread the energy that way to give back, in ways that we can, for sure. So you don't have to pick one, and you don't have to give a lot, but every little bit counts, Just spread it out as much as you can and, spread the word through music, you know what I'm saying?
It's very key, very key. And I feel even just with reggae music, I don't know what it is about the whole culture, everything, the vibe of the music, all that. It seems like that type of crowd is really, always associated with doing charitable events and stuff like that. A lot of the reggae events that I see posted, they always have little things like, oh, giving to this organization or that organization. You know what I mean? I feel like the reggae community as a whole really gets behind supporting, those kinds of events and stuff. What do you think that is about the whole, I don't know, the vibe of the music, or just the thought of the people, how that translates into people actually caring?
I think it's everything, because reggae music it's a rebel movement. It's rebel music of the people who want to go against oppression, but at the same time, we are all coming together trying to spread one love and unity. And part of what that means is coming together as a community, to give back to our people. A lot of us think that, everything that's going on in the world is just not directly connected to us. We have no responsibility for it, but, there's a whole other group and, massive of people that believe that, everything that happens in this universe, we are connected to by way of energy. So we are responsible for everything that happens. And that being said, it is part of our duty as a community, nationally and globally or whatnot, to give back and to really, truly stand behind that, that one love message that we are trying to put out as musicians, especially in the reggae genre and reggae movement. You know what I mean? So for me, it's an important thing, and I came, from a family of people, my parents, lucky. I shouldn't say lucky. I feel blessed that my parents always worked hard, to try to provide for my brother and I. But growing up, my mother especially came from a very, very, very poor community. So throughout her life, the more she earned, the more she got, she always gave back. So some of that, and a lot of that stems from just that kind of, grounding I got from my parents to always try to give back no matter what you do. But I feel, like I said, blessed to be amongst a group of people in this genre, not just reggae, but urban music on a whole, because we are underground and we are always striving to be recognized in some way, shape, or form, to then recognize, people out there that are in need and that need our help when it comes to certain things, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's just, having people that have the same vision and the same mission and goal. We just come together, and this is a result of it, And, of course, the music speaks for itself as well, right?
Definitely. That one love message is very powerful, and it's great that you've had those experiences as a child, and being able to see, what your parents had gone through, especially your mother there, what you were saying, just translating into, you recognizing the importance of helping out, and giving back. Definitely. It's important. And in some of these societies here over in the Western world, where kids don't ever get a chance to see that, you know what I mean? They grow up into wealthy families or into well-off families, even middle class is fairly good nowadays. And you don't really see that kind of the homelessness, the depression and the hurt and the poverty and everything that's happening in the world. You just become blind to it. And like you were saying there, it's
right.
like we don't even think like that's a part of the world that we live in. We just almost ignore it to an extent, right? And ignorance is bliss. And we just kind of forget that these people are even suffering. And yeah, sometimes it sounds like all hippie to be like, oh, how can we help out everybody? But like really honestly and truthfully, every little bit counts. And like when we talk about this stuff, when we have discussions like these, we inspire, I think, other people to be like, you know what, maybe I should go out and help out a little bit now as well. And like, why not help out? Other people are doing it. We need to get involved with something that's at least positive and something that we can say at the end of the day, like, I helped out a little bit and I left something behind.
Absolutely, because, at the end of the day, I feel that is our purpose, on this earth, is like to be the best we can be and give back in ways we can, spread that positivity and love. A lot of us we have our priorities a little mixed up, and we feel that, especially this day and age with the media and artists that are coming up into the mainstream, gosh, the music industry has just changed so much, and it's like we have people thinking that it's all about, money and girls or guys and, drugs and negativity and all that. And, women now are feeling like in order for them to get anywhere, they got to take their clothes off. And, I'm looking at, it's funny, somebody put a picture up on Instagram the other day. It was like the Grammys in like 1987. And it was like Whitney Houston standing in a beautiful gown, and all that woman had to do was open her mouth and sing, and then the split picture was Beyonce, at the recent Grammys with, a little song on and her butt up in the air. And I'm not knocking her hustle, I get it, but I'm saying it has evolved in such a different way, and I don't believe it's for the better, the music industry. And the youth are looking at this, and they're coming up with this kind of, influence, thinking that this is what it's about. And so for us that know better are in our conscience, to what is really real, it is our responsibility, especially as musicians, because we're on a platform or on a pedestal where, when people come to our shows or kids see us here and there or whatever, they listen to us. Mm-hmm. Whether we want to put ourselves on that platform or not, just by being musicians, we are in that position, and people are listening to what we're saying. So we have a responsibility, if we're aware of the difference, to show that difference and to kind of bring people back to what really it should be about, what life is about, you know what I mean? Some of us don't have kids, and some of us may have kids one day, and some of us do have kids, and these are things that they're learning, right? So I just try to do my best. I learn and grow as I go along too, and I've come a long way, and I'm sure you have as well. But just try to keep it positive, and I don't do slack music. I just try to keep it conscious and keep it clean, and everybody's got their role. And like I said, I'm not knocking it, but I have my direction that I'm going in, and that's what I'm trying to portray with my music. You know what I mean?
I like that 100%. I'm feeling it. I'm vibing off that. I like that. That's a great approach. And definitely, like, I feel 100% what you're saying. Like, people's priorities are a little bit askew nowadays. And it's, I was just watching this interview of this lady talking about she's a neuroscientist, and she just did DMT for the first time. DMT is like this psychedelic that kind of like opens up your mind. As far as I've been described, it's kind of similar to like mushrooms in the way that it kind of just opens your mind to recognizing that there's a greater purpose to life than just like the regular mundane everyday thing that people are stuck into. And what she was talking about was just basically like, I used to be so focused on like data and numbers and results, and like I need to, because the schooling system and the education that we're subjugated to when we're younger just teaches us all about numbers, and it's a number game, and you got to make sure you have more numbers than the next person, you know what I mean? And competition type battle game, where really what we need to break down is like we're human beings. We need to help each other. We need to heal the planet, you know what I mean? And that's what she kind of learned from having this experience, was just like she totally changed her profession that she was into in the science realm, and just kind of like put it more focused on like helping people and trying to understand people as a whole, as opposed to like trying to focus on, and she explained it even as just like I was doing stuff and acting like I was helping people, you know what I mean? Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm helping people, but I wasn't really helping people. I'm not like, I'm more focused on the results of it than the actual people that are involved in the process. And that's something that even artists ourselves can get mixed up in, is, you know, thinking about our views on YouTube or our Facebook likes or our comment sections or some numbers and stats and results. And we just have to really think about, you know, connecting with the people each single time that we're on that stage, or any time that we're getting our music out there, the people that we're connecting to, and recognize the fact that like that's another person, just them in that experience right there, and just appreciating that experience and not being so focused on like what is going to be the end result of this, just doing what you need to do and what you're here for, and that's just living.
Absolutely. And it's like you said, you know, it just comes down to like what your motivation is. Is your motivation to have fame or to really truly spread the good word? You know what I mean? And so, I mean, you got to try to keep it, you know, you know, positive no matter what you do. And I mean, you know, expression is one thing. I'm not necessarily talking about like, you know, explicit lyrics. You know, I understand in certain contexts that's maybe necessary to try to convey an emotion, but it's really what you're saying, you know, like, I mean, you know, I don't really open up too much on interviews and voice my opinions where other people's music are concerned, but I mean, it's really frustrating when you gotta turn on the TV and you gotta see the Anaconda video and it's all about having a big butt.
Thank you for mentioning that. I've had conversations in the streets with enough people about this.
Yeah, and it's like these unconscious men are like talking about, oh yeah, the big booty, and then these young girls are thinking, well, like, oh, that's what the men like. So then you know, women, they constantly want to please their men, and when you're a young girl and you know you respect your parents, and you come from a household where you love your dad and you idolize your dad and every other man who reminds you of that, then you're going to want to please that man. And these young kids are coming up thinking they got to put their butt everywhere. And I am sorry, but I just don't. I mean, there was a video they did I can't even remember where I saw this, but it was like Nicki Minaj, and she was like a little girl saying, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor and help people, or and then the next clip of the video was her booty up in the air in her video, and I'm just like, I don't understand how that has, like, it's not music to me. It's like, it's adult entertainment, which is now, like, you know, seeping into the Family Channel and stuff. Like, when I was growing up, I'm sure you remember, we're roughly the same age. Growing up, Family Channel and YTV and all that stuff was very, very, like, G-rated.
Oh, yeah. Super clean. Even the radio, too.
Movies, and I see stuff on those channels and those stations that I'm like, are you for real? Like, you know, this wasn't allowed when I was growing up. Even certain things that you see and hear on commercials and stuff now, it's completely... With the internet, they're like, it's 100% at your disposal. You know, even if, like, there's this one site, it's crazy, it's called Omegle. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's basically like this chat room. Anybody can go on it. Kids can go on it. And I was telling my manager the other day about it because, you know, we've got an 8-year-old in the house. It's her son. And he's, you know, on the internet these days and YouTubing. And I'm like, yo, we got to be careful because these kids go on and it's like one of those chat rooms where as long as you got a camera, you are in front of somebody. And every 30 seconds or so, somebody different pops up in front of your screen. And it's a variety of, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, from 1 second, you see a bunch of little kids, to the next second, there's some guy on there for some weird, creepy purpose. It's dangerous. You know what I mean? I'm like, how do we get to this point? So I feel like, you know, if we're trying to, you know, spread this positivity, like, we really gotta, like, you can't just be like, oh, one love, people walk around talking about one love, but, like, and unity and consciousness, like, you really gotta be aware, you know, you gotta be careful. And I know, like, a lot of artists are like, you know, I'm not here to be a role model, which I understand. Like, my goal in life wasn't to grow up and be a role model, but like I said, unfortunately, when you choose this avenue to pursue, or it chooses you are being watched and being listened to, and that's just a fact. Like, whether you like it or not, you just kind of gotta, like, you know, just kind of be aware. I think, you know,
100%.
Yeah, man.
And nowadays sex sells, and that's the scariest thing is just, and not even nowadays, it seems like it's been that way, and now they're slowly getting to the point where it's like, it's sex sells and it's acceptable that we can use sex to sell.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
And
Exactly.
now it's gone a little bit too far, especially with videos like the Anaconda video and stuff like that, that just, it's portraying this image that is not healthy for the youth of our generation and future generations. If this is the path that we're going on, like, I'm scared what that photo of the Grammys in 2030 is going to be. It's going to be a naked girl with a pole, a stripper pole there, and she's going to be holding her clothes in her right hand and twirling it like, woo, this is music. No, it's not, people, okay? You're being blinded by the sex and the images and the lifestyle, and you need to come back to the essence with it, which is the music and what they're actually saying, the lyrics. You know, what are these people doing, and what are they doing it for? Is it to make money, or is it to make change? And
I mean, clearly at this point it's money, fame. You know, it's just like, oh man, this is a whole other like deep convo. You know, when you get in, like, I sit and reason with people sometimes about this stuff, and it's like, yo, it makes me afraid. Like you said, 2030. What's really happening? And I hope to God, like, I pray that we out here, you know, especially in the underground scene, because I know a lot of us, we are doing it for the passion of what we do. We know what it's like, you know, to struggle and, you know, to be going through this because we don't want to conform or, you know, sell ourselves for that 5 minutes of fame just because we can, you know. And so, like I said, it comes down to us, like, we can make a change. Like, we can make a change, and we can do it slowly by coming together within ourselves, and, you know, as a community of musicians and artists and people who have passion for what they're doing, and say, you know what, if I don't become famous, that's okay, because that means I don't have to sell myself out in order to do that. Like, if I blow up tomorrow because I did it on my terms, hey man, that's cool. If I don't, that's cool too, because I always say I'd rather, you know, fail on my own terms than succeed on somebody else's, because if it means I gotta look at myself at the end of the day and I don't even know who I'm looking at, I don't know if that's like the life I really want to live, you know what I mean, for what, in the name of money and power and fame, which at the end of the day, none of it matters when you're dead. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All that's gonna matter is like, hey, yeah, I remember you for your big butt. You know what I mean? And it's like, we need to like empower ourselves more, you know, like men have to empower their women and women have to empower their men, and together they need to empower their children with the positive, healthy mindset, you know, and morals. Like, we got to stop with this, like, everything is so, you know, exchangeable or replaceable, or like, you know, I'm bored of my girlfriend, I'll get a new one. I don't like my hair, I'll get a new one. I don't like my hair, I'll get a new one. You know, like, it's just, everything's become so vain. You know what I mean? So we need to shift that. But I feel positive. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there like us that are just on the same bandwagon doing it. So as long as you stick to that and you believe that this is what you're here to do, then it's bound to happen. You know what I mean? That's why we're part of this, like, rebel movement, if you will, you know?
I feel it 100%. And I know what you mean by the underground, the people, because just in conversations just like this one, I have them all the time with people that do connect with the message, you know, and recognize that, like, yo, there needs to be something that changes and something that happens in a positive way, because it's getting too crazy. It's getting a little bit too far with the videos and with how things are moving in that direction. We just need to put a stop to it. We need to band together, unite, because in numbers we have power, and recognize that there's a lot of people out there that think like this, and we just need to raise our voices and eventually be able to stop that stuff. But at the end of the, like, on the other end of the spectrum, I have to say, like, there's this other part of me that's always like, I see how things are changing for the bad way, and then I don't want to be like, yo, let's nerf the world so that everything that's fun we can't do anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, there's things that cross the line. And like, yeah, we're human beings. We're sexual human beings. We like sex. So is it wrong to ignore that when, you know, there's videos like promoting that kind of thing, right? Yeah, it's not good for young kids to be watching that and to be getting into it at young ages, you know what I mean? But it's like, for us, like I don't know, and nowadays with the internet, that's the clincher, that's the medium that no one understands how to control, because an 8-year-old can go on there and watch porn now. It's that easy, you know what I mean? Like, you can be I remember being a kid on the internet when the internet was coming up, and I was young, real young, like probably 10 or so when I was first watching, like seeing that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like only because of the internet, and now it's probably 10 times worse with how it is.
Well, I think, you know what, one of the things is that, like, okay, there are some variables you can't control, which I totally understand, right? But I mean, this is where I think it comes back to, like, in the household, like the parents and the big brothers and sisters that, okay, explain to the kids them, like, yeah, this is here, but explain to them, you know, the difference, you know, between that, like, it's okay because we're all sexual beings and they're going to grow up and be sexual beings and they need to be comfortable with their sexuality, but there needs to be a line. There has to be boundaries, and they need to know that, like, you know what? No, it's not okay to do certain things, and it's not okay, you know, to support certain things. But I just don't think there's enough people coming together making a stand, you know? It's like, okay, you know, someone I knew was living in a building one time, and they're living in front of a restaurant, and that restaurant was louding up themselves like every night, okay, like 2 o'clock in the morning on a weekday, and just louding up themselves. But nobody in the building had enough guts to come together and say, let's put something together to, like, either get them to stop the noise or cut it, or, like, everybody's becoming too, like, what is it? Like, I don't even know if it's
complacent
or complacent. Yeah, it's just like, you know what? No, even though that bothers me, I'm just going to let it happen. Well, no. If you don't like that, and you as a community of people in that building decide, you know what? We have children living here, and there's got to be a limit. You need to come together and say something. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you can't control everything, but there's certain things you can control. And one of the things you can control is teaching the kids the difference between, you know, good versus bad, and, like, knowing the boundaries. Like, yes, you might see this on the internet, but, you know, to explain. And I think that's another thing, too, like, parents these days, it's like they feel awkward maybe, or they don't want to have that conversation with their kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're scared to have that conversation.
When you decide to have kids, you got to suck it up, man. Like, you got to just, no matter how awkward it's for you, I'd rather, like, be awkward, have an awkward conversation with my kids that it's going to save their ass, or my bad, their butt later, than, like, you know, then all of a sudden now my kid's on TV twerking because I never was brave enough to sit them down and have their conversation with them, to teach them to love themselves and have dignity and respect for themselves, and to know the difference, mind you, whilst not being judgmental, because I don't think we should be judgmental, but you need to have some form of judgment, you know what I mean, in order to decide, you know, what is, like I said, what is good versus what is bad, what is, you know, proper versus improper, however you want to look at it. And that's just the main thing, you know. It's like, yeah, everything in moderation too. Like, I get it. You know, guys see the big booty girls on TV, and the girls see the guys with the 6-pack and the ushers and whatnot. And oh, cool, but you got to have limits, you know what I mean? And you got to be careful how you conduct yourself in certain situations, because your kids are watching, and you can't choose whose kids are going to watch. And unfortunately, if at the end of the day your kid now becomes a result of what you put up, hey, that's on you, right? So that's really what it boils down to be honest with you. But yeah, man, like, I feel like we just need to, you know, be able to express our art, but you got to know the difference between art and just exploitation, you know?
Yes. So. And stick to having that love for yourself and that respect for yourself and having some dignity. I like that.
Absolutely, 100%. We need that. You know, it's vital. If you don't know yourself and respect yourself, you won't know nothing. If you can't stand for something, you'll fall for everything, right?
100%.
Yeah,
I feel it. It leads perfectly into the song that I wanted to play from you here, the Dignified Woman.
Oh, okay, wicked. That's a wicked one, and that's one definitely I send those out to like everybody, not just the women, them, you know, like the men too, because it's got a positive message and it makes you think, you know.
Yes. Awesome. Dignified Woman right there. Elaine, Lil Bit Shepherd. It's great talking with you always, all the time. You're an awesome person.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me on the show, and I'm so glad we were able to work on the track together, and I know we'll have enough more coming for the people. And you know what, I'd love for you and I to sit down and, you know, work on something deep like Nas, Damian Marley style conscious track. I think we could really do one over good, so
I'm down with it. I like it.
Wicked,
yes.
Wicked. And thanks for having me on the show. And I can't wait to link up and, you know, do some music. And I want to big up all the people listening and all the fans and supporters for supporting your, you know, local college radio. And, well, all, you know, everyone that makes it possible. It lets us, you know, have this muse to do what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So one love and bless.
One love. Much respects. Thank you so much.
Thank you.